What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more acid-trance, and we're back with more from the absolute master, Pablo Gargano, and we're going to listen to a tune from Eve 6. Now, you'll notice this has the original label and sleeve aesthetic of Eve, which was simply white and black. Eventually, they adopted the more familiar and now much more famous multi-shade blue sort of scheme. So I'll leave that record up there just because this is an Eve track, even though, technically came from this, which is like a generic white sleeve. In any case, we're going to listen to a tune I was sure I had reacted to, but apparently I have not. And we're going to listen to a track. This is from 1996 on Eve 6, and it has some stylings that are more like early Pablo Gargano stuff. Now, I've mentioned before my favorite period for him is like 96 to 98. I like tunes that he made after that. They get a bit more progressive, more melodic, a bit slower, not so much as acidic as his, heyday on the Eve label. And his early stuff, a lot of which is on like Rabbit City, which I think is an Irish label because he originally was located in Ireland before he then moved to, or I think technically Northern Ireland, before he moved to London and got the Eve label going with his friend Simon Eve. But yeah, I would say this tune, it's sort of transitional. You can hear some of the like early sound, which I enjoy his early tracks before like 96, like 93, 94, 95, but they do have a bit of a rawness to them. They're a bit more, for lack of a better word, erratic. That sounds harsher than I want it to. They're just a bit less like perfectly streamlined as, in my opinion, his tunes again from like 96 to 98 especially. Even leading into 99 or 2000. So this tune, you can hear the increasingly polished like chronology, and like you can hear the Pablo that I know very well and love, but you can also hear a bit of that early kind of rawness to the production. So I enjoyed this track a lot, and it ultimately has an energetic drama to it. Like, I don't know if cinematic is the right word, but it definitely has a dramatic atmosphere. So let's hear it. This is Pablo Gargano from the 1996 Eve 6 release, and the tune is called Bundu Tundu, which I'm unaware of the significance of, if there is a reference there. I feel like I'm waiting for a bus. Anytime now. Atmosphere has a very vintage Pablo. melody's gonna double itself on the second. Remember when I first heard this, that was the moment where I was like, dude, this tune, like, it's so crazy. Bit of a psychedelic feeling on it. And I would say that because one of the cool things about trance is a lot of tunes are workable both as a set opening track and as a set ending track, because they often have, if not ambient, at the very least, atmospheric or in some ways introductory openings rather than just, kick drum, eventually a hat, then a clap, and so on, where a lot of techno tunes really will just start with a very minimal kick drum and like hi-hat scheme. Obviously not all of them, but yeah, there are many that are that way. So then it's like you either find the rare one that isn't like that to start and end your mix, or you get another record with, like a quick sample or something to throw on the end of your mix or to like have at the start of your set. Whereas trance mixes, again, there's no shortage of opportunities for how to start or end the set because most tracks are workable in either capacity. Nevertheless, again, I think there are some sonics here that are indicative of the slightly earlier Pablo, but you can also hear his sense for the tunes that I think would make him even more famous in the following years, including one on this same record. So, again, at the same time. But I think the tune that I'm talking about, The Stranger, which I will come back and react to, it has a more like 96, 97, 98 Pablo sound compared to this one. And indeed, there's a cool remix of it on his, is it the Senza Volto album? I think it is. Or no, is it I think that's actually what it is. But nevertheless, I have that. Yeah, it is on Senza Volto, I'm pretty sure. So we'll listen to the original, then we'll listen to the David Craig remix. And again, I've told this story before, and it's something that took me a little while to learn, because when I first heard David Craig, I thought it was a Pablo alias. His tunes sound very similar, like in terms of the elements, in terms of the types of like tracks they are, like, in terms of genre, style. And I would eventually learn he is a real person. He's not an alias, but he was a good friend of Pablo, and I think Pablo engineered most of his tracks. So he basically, set the drum machines and the 303 and everything so that his David Craig's tracks inevitably had a similarity in sound. In any case, the remix is cool, so we'll listen to that too after the original. But yeah, I definitely have enjoyed this track for a long time, and it's one that it feels like a bit of a less common tune in his catalog, but only for me, in that I don't have a lot of his stuff from 93 to 95 on vinyl, with like one or two exceptions. So to me, this sounds like, again, a transitional track. It's like I can hear the sound of the records I know he's made, and most of which I don't have earlier than this, but I can also definitely hear the Pablo of whose records I have, 40, whatever it is, 50. So ultimately, probably not that many, I don't know. I have the first 25 Eves and a few after that, and then I have Metropolitans that he's on. So yeah, I'd say around 40. I'd say that's probably right. In any case, let me know what you think of this one. As I said, I'll come back soon for The Stranger, and I will see you then. Peace.